All right, welcome to the Kubernetes SIG Docs bi-weekly Zoom meeting. Today is March 4, 2025. Need to make that change on the agenda here. I'm your host today. My name is Ray Lahana, one of the co-chairs, along with Natalie Blacko, who's on the call, and Divya Mohan, who is not on the call as well. We're joined here with fellow contributors. We have also tech leads on the call as well. Kat and Xander, I believe, are on the call. So our first, some boilerplates. I do want to remind folks that this meeting abides by the CNCF Code of Conduct, which boils down to be kind to each other. And this meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube as well. So if you don't want to share your video share, please turn it off. And the first few minutes, we like to welcome new contributors on the call. So see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces as well. So if you'd like, please come off mute and do a short introduction to yourself. All right, going once, going twice. All right, let's continue on with updates, reminders. This week's PR Wrangler is Depeche Watt. Actually, let me share my video, the notes as well. Hopefully, I'm sharing the right one. Okay. So let's start with let's redo updates reminders. This week's PR Wrangler is Depeche Watt. Depeche also has a shadow, and I just put the GitHub handle Juji shadowing. And next week's PR Wrangler is Xander with Mohit Semity shadowing. And the following week's PR Wrangler is Kat Cosgrove with Network Charles shadowing. If you're interested about shadowing for PR Wrangler is that we take turns, or approvers take turns reviewing pull requests, and so they are the PR Wrangler for that week. So if you are interested in shadowing to learn how we review pull requests, please feel free to reach out to one of the SIG Docs co-chairs. Issue Wrangler. The Issue Wrangler is also a contributor who wrangles issues for the week as well and triage issues. So this week's Issue Wrangler is Sriram Venkatesh, and next week's Issue Wrangler is Natalie Blacko.
Oh
and
no!
Yeah.
Just saying dumb things.
And there's links on the agenda as well to both the PR Wrangler shift and Issue Wrangler shift as well. And in order to edit the agenda and to get reminders and invites, please join the SIG Docs Google group, and there's a link to the agenda for those calendar invites. And if you notice any code of conduct violations at GitHub comments, events, meetings, Slack, please reach out to the Kubernetes Code of Conduct Committee. You could do so anonymously as well via email at conduct@kubernetes.io, and it will be anonymous. So let's kick off the agenda. We start off with the release 1.33. So I'll hand it over to the release docs and release comms teams. All right, so I'm just going to read out the one for docs. It's yellow status, and they're waiting for the final review of the alpha.2 release notes pull request. And the weekly branch PR sync has been merged, and the all tracked and looks like all placeholder PRs have been made for the tracked keps. And the docs placeholder PR deadline was last week on February 27. Anyone from the release comms team that wants to give an update?
Hi folks, this is Ryota from Release Comms. So our current status is green. We are currently tracking 14 feature blog opt-in, and the deadline is later today. So this count may increase to a few more, but that's how much we are tracking right now. And also release highlight follow-up to all the SIGs will be happening sometime soon, probably this week. And also will be, actually, I'll write up a little bit about the sneak peek mid-cycle blog, which we are going to start drafting as well. So all green from our point of view for this week.
Cool. Thank you, Ryoto. Some additional notable dates. Just want to broadcast, like I mentioned, the docs placeholder PR deadline was last week on February 27. The deprecation removal blog is due on March 24, and a docs PRs ready for review is coming up on March 25th. Any comments or question for the release comms or docs team? All right. Next agenda topic is issues and PR. There's no issues or PRs listed here. So want to invite anyone that would like to come off mute to bring up any issues or PRs.
Just me very quickly. We've merged, or we've submitted our annual report for SIG Docs PR, and just wanted to kind of put that out there. That's kind of been done a little bit over the deadline, but we weren't the worst. So just nice general update for the community there. Thanks, Kat, for working with me on that.
You're welcome. Who was the worst?
Well, SIG K, it's info. I haven't submitted theirs yet.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Natalie. Any other issues in PRs that folks want to bring up? All right. Discussion topics. I put one out here, but I also see Jeremy about the LTS subproject listing SIGDocs as a stakeholder. And with that, SIGDocs need to maintain doc branches for additional year. I don't know if Jeremy, if you want to do an intro as well or add something to this.
Sorry, I've had a cold for a little bit, and it was like I could feel the sneeze was coming right as you said my name. Yeah, so the background in this is we've had like a bunch of discussions. Oh, sorry, I'll introduce myself too. I'm Jeremy. If I haven't met you before, I'm a co-chair for SIG Release. I'm also co-leading working group LTS. So this specific proposal hasn't actually come up for discussion in working group LTS yet. Micah, I think, shared it with the mailing list. So if you are on the mailing list, you probably got notifications for it. Yeah, LTS is long-term support. Sorry for acronyming. We've had a bunch of different discussions about what long-term support might look like. This is the second iteration of this working group. We haven't come to a real agreement yet on what that might look like, but this is an attempt to capture some thinking from some folks in the vendor community, specifically Microsoft and AWS, around what some of that might look like. So you can take a look at the proposal. This definitely has not been advanced yet from the working group, so we're probably going to discuss this at the next meeting, which will be Tuesday of next week. So if you're interested, definitely feel free to come. You can leave comments on the doc. I think edit is given to working group LTS. So if you want to join the mailing list for that, you should be able to get edit permissions on that.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, so this proposal, I guess, since it hasn't been presented yet, I did want to note that I did see SIGDocs as a stakeholder, so that's why I wanted to bring it up and the comment for SIGDocs as a stakeholder was needing to maintain doc branches for additional year, which isn't too much of a load for SIGDocs. They're just I listed some of the requirements, just to some changes to the more on the SIG release team docs handbook on when we should remove doc branches. And there's a page on Kubernetes.io to reflect on what is maintained by Kubernetes in terms of documentation. Just want to open up for anyone for any comments or questions.
I will say, like in general, I think any of these efforts are going to touch a lot of SIGs. So definitely, if this advances outside of working group LTS, I think the idea would be this would be a subproject under SIG architecture, since they would have the most direct kind of purview for that kind of change. And then ancillary changes like docs need to be updated longer, tests need to stay around longer. All of those things would need to be discussed as well. So before any of this advances, there will definitely be a lot more discussion about it.
All right. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, Tim
Hello.
has.
Yes, Tim. Sorry, wasn't
Yeah,
looking.
Kat had a hand up next, I think. I want to highlight that, like, some people might be assuming this is kind of straightforward. We do not currently maintain docs for anything except the current release. We have a policy of only by backporting things that are like critically important that we like. If we had some advice that was bad security, we'd backport the fix. But anything else is not backported. And so I think there's a piece of work either to start backporting changes and maintaining them, or to very clearly communicate that LTS does not mean the documentation is maintained. So, like, you know, we could say it's LTS, but the documentation is not maintained, and make that clear. So the second piece of work is a lot smaller, but one of those two things would be needed.
Kat?
To Tim's point, I suspect that this doesn't mean actually maintaining the docs. It means keeping old docs online. Like currently we remove old documentation once support ends, right? It's part of the cycle that happens at the end of a release. It's one of the last things the release docs lead does. So I assume that what they actually mean is that we keep old documentation online, and that is like minimal effort for SIG docs. Like the larger lift there is actually for SIG release. It's me going and updating the release docs handbook. But I want to say that I fundamentally hate this as a thing. I don't think that it's our job as a project to do more free work at the behest of large cloud vendors who want to offer extended support. Like, what is the difference between everything in this proposal and just supporting versions for longer, other than building binaries? Apparently, like that's probably something to go yell at Jeremy at in the LTS meeting, but I hate this. Even though it's like really, really easy lift for SIG docs and SIG release, I hate it. So
I'm going to speak, and I'm going to say my point was we shouldn't do the easy thing. We should, at minimum, we could do the easy thing and just publish the old docs, but we should, at minimum, also make it clear that the old docs are unmaintained. Because
well, I
if we
mean,
call it
the old docs are
LTS,
currently unmaintained, though. Like the
Yeah.
docs for the last version are unmaintained. They're just still there. I think this
Yeah.
is literally just a phrasing issue within the proposal. I think they don't understand our definition of maintenance of docs.
I want to explain the tension here is like, if we say that it's LTS, that is communicating an expectation of maintenance. And if that's not being met, I think we will have more pain unless we also communicate like it's LTS, but the docs aren't there. Which is like, you know, we can talk about which choice we won't make. But if we go for the keep them up, do nothing, and leave it at that, I expect like an issue a month saying, this LTS release is marked as deprecated. You need to fix that. It's a bug. And the chore of having to constantly tell people, oh yeah, that's our decision, and another month later someone adds to the list of bugs we will close. We need to do something, I think.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the comment that this is probably a lack of understanding of things that happen within the release and within SIG docs for when things drop off is probably spot on. I think that would be really great feedback to include. I can take that back as well. But if anybody wants to comment in this proposal, please feel free to add any other context or feedback about just the proposal in general. All feedback is welcome. So.
Yeah, I just want to point attention to Shannon's comment in the chat, which I think is worthwhile to point out, and Tim basically essentially saying that is the number 2 proposal of putting the banner up and adding LTSs as part of that banner of no longer actively maintained. I like that personally.
All right. Any other comments or questions on the LTS topic?
I put something in the chat. I'm going to say it for the benefit of the tape. We could provide a way for large cloud vendors to fund the CNCF, and then they could take a decision on, what free rider problems and does this work. But if there was a way for the large vendors, the GCP, AWS, Azure, whoever else, to put money in a pot that the CNCF ring fences and spends on that LTS maintenance, it might work. Probably one FTE would do it.
I'm going to be the one to say it, Tim, that is highly unlikely, but it's a great idea.
Yeah, the CNCF is having a lot of trouble getting sponsorship dollars out of anybody right now. A bunch of companies have pulled out or reduced their level of sponsorship with the CNCF and the LF and everybody and their mother, basically. They're not gonna throw more money for docs maintenance at them when there's a chance that they can bully us into doing it for free. Unfortunate, but true.
Right. My question would be in terms of which we need to discuss with the working group, as well as what other folks have brought up here as to what level we want to make it set the expectation as to what level the docs will be maintained at. And I know vendors also maintain their own docs as well. So to what degree do they to what degree is the expectation for upstream documentation is to be maintained, as others have noted? So, all right, any other comments or questions?
I guess I've got a question of we can probably decide this async as well, but does someone from SIG Docs want to go to the next LTS meeting and just kind of have a chat and make this clear?
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Let's kind of make sure that that's a thing we do. Shannon.
Shannon?
Given that it'll be LTS, do we anticipate people opening issues for older versions of docs? And if so, do we want like labeling or just like a standard triage guideline for what a wrangler might do if there's an issue open for an older version of a doc that isn't a critical issue?
You can already file an issue against older docs. I don't think we have a problem yet.
All right. Any other comments or questions? All right, next agenda topic, possible issue in owners files with filters. Sayak on the call.
Hey, yep. So I'm currently working on a PR which will allow us to use the filters thing from Probot for the localization folder only. So this was brought up by team and I tried to work on it, but I soon came across I don't know if I should say an issue or not, but some lack of consistency. Essentially, what the docs say is that if you're using filters in a owner's file, your approvers should be a sub property of the filters. But I can see that there are a couple of owners files where the approvers are siblings of the filter property, and so the documentation doesn't really match how it is implemented right now. And I raised this thing with the SIG testing folks. I have not yet received any kind of like concrete answers. I have gone through the Probot source code, and the source code, from what I understand, kind of like confirms what I'm thinking. that is, one cannot have the approvers as a sibling of filters. And I don't know like how things are working essentially. Like the bigger question is like, from what I can understand from the source code of Pro, is the approvers of certain owners files might be totally be ignored as of right now. So I've paused working on that PR because before I know what exactly things, how exactly things work, I will only proceed after I know that. But I wanted to bring this up in this meeting because there are a couple of owners files where the approvers are a sibling of the filters property. And from what I see in the source code, like if it's in that way, then the approvers would probably be completely ignored. What I can do is, what I should have done is probably link the two owners files. Let's see. Yeah, I'll link the two owners files that I'm talking about. Because if that is the case right now, then I don't know like how what it means as far as like proper assignment goes, like PR and whatever issue assignment goes. I am not really sure about how big of a deal is this. So I just wanted to bring it up. So these are the two owners files that I found out, which like doesn't really conform to what the docs say. And yeah, so the docs say that that the approvers and the reviewers key should be inside the filters key. And if it is outside the filters key, then like it's completely ignored. At least that's my understanding from the source code. I might be completely off my base here. I've raised it in the SIG testing channel, and Bain from there has responded to it. He he has mentioned that there has been a history of filters and approvers not working together well. Yeah, so I don't know, like I don't know how critical this issue might be, but yeah.
And I see your hand up. Is that from the previous topic or?
Yes. Sorry.
I'm just catch up on the Slack message, Slack thread here. Does Ben have any next steps for you, Sayak, on tracing this down?
Not really. Like he has ended the the conversation has till now. The last thing that he said was we should revisit this whole logic. But since I don't know much about Pro and how its inner workings are, I don't know how much I can help it right now. I will, if I have to help, I will need some time to figure things out there. But
I
no.
Sorry, after you, Sayak, we weren't finished.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost done. Like just knowing like how things are supposed to work would probably help me at least get my PR done. So yeah.
So firstly, how things are supposed to work is this like magical fairyland that we all wish we knew. I think I just want to openly say that. But at the same time, there are a couple of folks that I think that we can connect you with that are working on Prow that you can kind of chat with. But I want to let you know that I personally don't think this is a critical issue and that you don't have to go and solve issues in Prow to solve this. It sounds like this is at least looking at the chat with Ben that he even says there's been a long history of not being able to get filtered approvals working. We should revisit that. Okay. We can ask some SIG testing folks to kind of collaborate with a few of us that are interested, but I just want to let you know, Sayek, that this is not on you to fix. Like,
All
by
right,
us.
all right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just that like I was wondering what I should do with my PRs. Should I just follow however things are right now, like the approvers and the filters are siblings, or should I think what is right? So like I was a bit confused, like which way to go. That's why.
Yeah. I think it's worth us having a chat with SIG testing about what is their appetite for revisiting this. If it's soon, then halting some work and maybe waiting to see what some of the work that they might do. But at the same time, if they're like, oh, it hasn't been working for a long time and we don't really have capacity to look into that, that'll let you know what then the next step is for you. So I
All
think
right.
and I'm happy to, if you want to go to a SIG testing a meeting together and see what's up, I'm happy to kind of put my hand up and do that with you.
Yeah, that sounds great. Either a SIG testing or does Pro have its own meetings? I don't know. I guess SIG testing would be, yeah.
Yeah, SIG testing is
fine.
supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I might even ping a couple of folks that I know working on Proud just on the side, just to see if are they going to go to the meeting that we'll be at, so that we can actually have a bit of a discussion. Yeah, we can go from there, just so that you know what your possible next steps for working on the PRs are.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome. I'll ping you async, and we can make sure that we're both available for the meeting that we want to go for SIG testing.
Got it.
Can we summarize for attendees and people watching the video what we were trying to achieve here?
Right.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you can go ahead, please.
I would say, SIG is trying to make some progress around filters in the owners files that they're working on. Small snag in the road that SIG testing can help us unblock if we understand if they're intending to work on some functionality that will help SIG make a decision either way.
And I think I will add that I think the bigger context here is that we want to refactor the way that we allow localization teams to maintain string localizations files to work with sort of the Hugo native way of Hugo mounts specifically, but a Hugo native way of letting us that happen. That's the thing we want to unblock with this work.
Yeah, and Sayak, part of the reason I'm putting my hand up to kind of come with you is so that there's a bit of lent hand of SIG leadership support in wanting to try and get this change over the line, and them understanding why we're working on what we're doing. So hopefully that's helpful context as well.
Right.
All right. Any last comments, questions? All right. Next topic is from Chris and Mario about merging Kubernetes.io and Kubernetes.dev.
Yeah. Hi, SIGDocs. We are here on behalf of Contribx Comms. We had a meeting. We had in our regular meeting last week the radical discussion to maybe it makes sense to eventually merge Kubernetes.io and Kubernetes.dev, because what we see is that the problem is we have two websites that are need to be maintained for KS.dev. We have like a huge backlog. We also have the recent issue that was brought up where the listing of all of our social channels and so on. We have a community site on Kubernetes.io. We have a community page on Kubernetes.dev, and they are never in sync. It's like you have like two different versions of two different information spread across two websites, and it's double effort to maintain them both. Ownership is not fully clear, and we will eventually get into the problem that, excuse me, we will eventually get also to the problem that if the .io top level domain will go away, there was a proposal or there was a discussion already started to move everything towards the .dev website, where we basically say everything is located under Kubernetes.dev. So the question that we brought in here or will bring in here is this something where SIG docs would potentially would be open to such a merge of both websites. I mean, we would need to move some parts of the Kubernetes.dev website obviously into Kubernetes.io, or would this be something where you are completely against it?
I'm going to need some cycles to think about this. So I'm not going to say, but I see Natalie and Tim's hands are up. Natalie?
Yeah, I have a lot of feelings about this, most of them mainly good. What I want to say is that it is my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mario and Chris, is that the Contribex comms folks, you folks, do have a bunch of folks internally that work on blogs specifically that get published to kubernetes.dev. Is that correct?
The fun fact is most of the blogs are actually are actually published in both blogs. So we usually have duplicated content. So they are published on Kubernetes.io and on Kubernetes.dev. So the blog in Kubernetes.dev is, yeah.
Yeah, but you have people actively working on creating that content. That's my question.
Yes. Yes, awesome. We have. Yeah, exactly.
Right, great. My blocker for merging the two blogs is if we do not merge the two teams as well. Because our problem in the blog team is that we do not have enough reviewers and approvers. Literally, it is Tim and part-time me at the moment for release stuff. We just do not have enough people. But if we merge these two blogs, and yet still the amount of possible content coming from what would be the Kubernetes dev side, which, like you just said, often gets mirrored anyway, but that amount of content continues, we will drown in work. We will absolutely drown in work. And we kind of already are just like barely treading water, I mean, maybe that's me being a bit nice about it, but we need more people. And so if we're willing to merge those teams to have a singular blog team by merging the two blogs, I am all for it.
I think this was actually this was also another topic, because Josh came into the meeting on Friday and he was like, yeah, there's like, it sometimes takes a lot of time from writing the blog post. The blog post gets reviewed internally, and then it's again more or less reviewed by Tim or by you, and it's like sometimes like 4 to 6 weeks until a blog gets published, because people can only do so much, right? So I'm also all for merging the teams there.
Tim?
I have a concern. What's written in the agenda and the notes is merging two websites. Like, there are two proposals being talked about here. We should separate them, because merging the blogs I support, and I recommend that we merge them using a technical means so that they are one blog in terms of one set of source code, one set of markdown source, one team doing the editorial, and some technical measures so that we can publish to two different domains. And I support that level of merge. We could also merge the community pages. We have a challenge around localization, but we can figure out how to address that challenge. Should we merge the entire two websites? I'm not so keen on that. I think it's a different proposal. The main thing I want to do is separate the proposals and make sure that we are discussing the blog merge is one thing and the entire merge of two websites is another thing, because I want to back one of them strongly and I want to caveat the other one also pretty strongly.
Yeah, I agree about merging the blog teams. There will be a time. I mean, there's people are talking about when the .io is going away. We don't know when that is exactly, but if and when that actually arrives, and that's a big if, we do have to have a plan for Kubernetes.io. But as for now, I'm okay. I agree with others about the blog team. For the entire website, so for Kubernetes.io and Kubernetes.dev, there's two different I guess targets for in terms of readers. One is contributors, one is for end users. And like folks have mentioned here, we do mirror blog posts from .dev to .io. frequently as well. And this could, and we might need to do a whole transformation if .io does go away. But as of now, we don't have that information or that details or that timeline as well. So in my opinion, we should hold off on merging two entire websites. We could, like to mention, we could sync the community pages, and if there's any updates to the community page to .io or to .dev, we could have something in place so that it'll be synced, like Tim mentioned here. But I do want to hold off. In my opinion, we should hold off on merging both for now until we get more information about .io. And Tim, see your hand up?
There's one thing that, like, an ambition that I've had, and I don't think I've shared this with anyone. Copying what Apple did in, I don't know, 20 years ago. They've had a website for a long time. You used to navigate around the Apple website, and there was one set of top nav, but behind the scenes, you were going to different websites. So the Apple Store, it felt like the user experience, if you didn't go and look at the URL, was one website, but you were actually going to a different domain. And if you knew how HTTP worked, you were talking to a different web server, and probably meant that the payment details only went to this special web server that handled payments. But it was a great user experience because you just clicked around the top nav of a website and you picked some pages and you got there. And I would be delighted if our user experience was that people went, oh, I want to learn about contributing to Kubernetes. Oh, there's some top nav. I can click on that. And that someone who doesn't look at the URL bar or doesn't care what's going on in the URL bar just navigates around and gets a nice user experience. But for various reasons, it's convenient for us. The sites are built differently. We have a bunch of bookmarks that are there, and one of the challenges is that there are URL paths like /docs which mean different things and that people have bookmarked them, and so merging things is hard. If we can make the user experience be good and the maintenance story be good, so that like the blog team has one area working, that would be a great aim. And I think the way Apple did, or maybe still does it, is sort of a good case study to aim for. That people have a great experience of one website, but behind the scenes, there's more than one way of serving it.
Mario and Chris, just to double check, is this two separate proposals, or was the intent to merge the websites? Just to double check that we're not like talking.
The first intent was to merge it. But I see Tim's point, and I also see Rafe's point, and actually I really like the Apple proposal, because it was not only Apple, it was different companies that did it this way in the past. And maybe it makes sense that we have like so I would definitely go ahead and say like, let's create a proposal to merge the blogs, especially also to bolster up the blog team for Kubernetes IO. And then we can basically go around and see like which parts can be in sync, which parts of kns.dev do we even want to keep, or like restructure, and then like do a restructuring of kubernetes.dev that it fits more into Kubernetes IO, and then we can basically talk about like the moving towards a unified navigation at some point, so that people are jumping between pages and might not see it. Because if we also move the blog, for example, out of kubernetes.dev into mainly Kubernetes IO, so that we keep the Kubernetes IO blog because of SEO, visibility, and whatsoever. This is also one page less to maintain in the publishing process, for example.
Yeah.
And the community page maybe moves to kubernetes.dev so that we don't have to maintain the community page on kubernetes.io.
Sure. I like your idea about putting the proposal together so that a bunch of us different stakeholders can kind of chime in and we can get some alignment there. Super side note, Tim, this could make a really cool, if we do want to end up proposing eventually merging the two sites together, this could make a great mentor Google Summer of Code thing project for the future, even just as a idea of needing to get a bit of extra help, because when we take on stuff like this, like the problem is always who's going to do it. But wanted to kind of put that as a possible idea for future. I think on the proposal side of things, Mario, if you want a bit of help or input, I am happy to start being involved whenever you like. That's totally fine. Tim, if you want to be also involved, please do so. But I'm trying to put my hand up instead of yourself. So FYI, given that you're doing enough blog stuff. But I think we probably also just want to. I know you're both you Mario and Chris are both coming from SIG Contribex, but given that you're here representing them, is it worth us assuming that Contribex already wants this and approves this, like the merging of the blogs, or do we still have to discuss that?
We still have to discuss this, so because there was no Contribex meeting in between.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
I will add that as an approver for both blogs, I'm on board with it.
Yep, same. Also approved for both blogs, same. Yeah. Cool. Then that sounds like at least myself going to a Contribex meeting in the future as well. Mario, and Chris, we can sync on when you want to discuss that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this.
Cool. Great. What am I doing this week? I'm signing up for all this extra work. It's great.
All right, any comments, questions about first merging the blogs from .dev and .io, or in the long run merging both domains? All right, well, that's a SIG meeting. I'm going to turn off the recording here. I stop my share.